All right, today we're going to dive into a story you probably think you know, but we're going to look at it in a totally different way, almost like a practical guide for turning not enough into more than enough. This is the story of the multiplication of abundance.
So, let's just start with a completely impossible problem. Imagine this. You are responsible for feeding a crowd of over 5,000 people, and the only thing you have to work with is a single packed lunch. Seriously, what do you do? That's the core dilemma we're going to unpack. Okay, so let's set the scene. You've got this massive crowd, thousands of people, who followed this incredible teacher, Jesus, way out into the middle of nowhere. They've been captivated all day long. But as the sun starts to set, a very real, very human problem starts to creep in. Everyone is getting hungry. And we're not talking about a small group here. The account says there were 5,000 men. That's not even counting women and children. So the actual number is way, way bigger. It's a logistical nightmare. They're out in a remote area, there's no food, and there is no plan. The need is just overwhelming. So, faced with this looming crisis, Jesus' disciples do what, let's be honest, any of us would do. They get practical. They look at the problem, they do the math in their heads, and they come to the only logical conclusion. You gotta send everyone away to find their own food. This isn't them being cruel, it's just pure common sense. And this really highlights two completely different ways of seeing the world. On one side, you have human logic, which is totally focused on the limitations. Too many people, not enough food. But on the other side, there's this different kind of thinking, compassion. Jesus doesn't see a problem to be dismissed. He sees people who are in need. And for him, that compassion always demands action. So instead of agreeing with their very logical solution, Jesus does something that just defies all reason. He turns around and gives his followers a challenge that is, frankly, impossible. He says, "You give them something to eat." Can you just imagine hearing those words? He puts the responsibility right back on their shoulders, knowing full well that they have nothing. It's this command that forces them to look their own limitations straight in the eye. So, okay, they scramble, they go searching through the crowd for any food they can find. And what they come up with is almost comically small. And, it's a feeling we've all had, right? Facing a massive problem with resources that feel totally, completely inadequate. So what do they find? Well, for starters, 5 loaves of bread. And let's be clear, that's not 5 baskets full of bread, it's 5 single loaves, barely enough for one family, let alone a crowd the size of a sports stadium. And 2 fish. That's it. That is the grand total. One person's lunch. The gap between what they have and what they need is it's mind-boggling. And right here, this is the turning point of the whole story. This is the moment when the focus shifts from everything they don't have to the little bit that they do have. You see, the miracle doesn't start with food just appearing out of thin air. It starts with something much smaller, an act of honesty. The disciples basically come to Jesus and say, look, this is all we've got. We know it's not enough, but here it is. So what happens next isn't just magic. It's a process. You could even think of it as a recipe, a 3-step recipe for unlocking abundance that Jesus shows his followers. And the recipe is incredibly simple. First, give thanks. Second, break the bread. And third, distribute it. So let's break down what each of those steps really means. So that first step is gratitude. Before anything changes, Jesus gives thanks for what he has, not for what he wishes he had. And that is such a powerful principle. I mean, even modern psychology tells us that practicing gratitude literally rewires our brains to see opportunities instead of just seeing what's lacking. Gratitude is the foundation for abundance. Now, the second step feels a little backwards, breaking. Think about it. A whole loaf of bread can't be shared with thousands. It has to be broken apart first. And that's such a powerful metaphor, isn't it? So often in our own lives, the things that feel like loss, the things that feel like they are breaking us, they're actually just preparing us for something much greater. So, with an attitude of gratitude and a willingness to be broken and shared, the disciples start handing out the little they have. And the result is absolutely astonishing. This shift from scarcity to abundance is about to get very, very real. The miracle doesn't happen with a big flash of light. It's quiet, it's almost unnoticeable. Every single time a disciple reaches into a basket to grab a piece of bread or fish, there's just more there. And this isn't just a little snack. everyone eats until they are completely satisfied. And if there was any doubt at all about the scale of this miracle, just think about this. After thousands of people have eaten until they're full, they go and collect the leftovers. And they fill 12 baskets. They ended with so much more than they ever started with. I mean, this is a complete 180. These are the same men who were just panicked about having nothing. And now they're literally carrying proof of overwhelming abundance in their arms. Their entire perspective just got flipped completely upside down. So, what's the big takeaway for us today? How does this ancient story actually help us when we're facing our own challenges? Well, here are the core principles. God specializes in multiplication, and it always begins with our obedience, with what we have, no matter how little it seems. It's all about his power to turn our little into much, our weakness into strength, and our scarcity into absolute abundance. How often do you find yourself thinking, I just don't have enough? Not enough time, not enough money, not enough talent, not enough faith. The answer this story gives us is so simple. Bring it anyway. Bring your not enough to the one who is the source of more than enough. So I'll leave you with this one final question to think about. What is your 5 loaves and 2 fish? What is that thing in your life right now that feels small, maybe even broken or completely insignificant? Because as this story shows us, in the right hands, that thing you call not enough is often just the beginning of a miracle.